ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, we got a bit of a mixed bag of news stories for you, but I'm excited to get to each and every one of them. Well, we got 2 new trailers in Trailer Talk. Exciting week for that. And then we'll get to the new streaming. Yet another light week. April has not been kind to the new streaming list. We'll get to what we're watching, and then our main review for the episode is Dr. Sleep. But before we get to any of that, I'm joined today by the pilot of Ava 1.
Getting
yeah, you like that
moved
one?
up in the world. I mean, it would be cool. I'd be terrified all the time.
Yeah? You don't think you can fight the angels?
No, they're very scary.
Some of them are, yeah. I don't.
I mean, I'd do it. I wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah, it would be fun. Sure. I don't blame Shinji for all the trauma he endured.
He does. He goes through a lot.
He does go through a lot. It's a harrowing story.
Truly is.
I can imagine being 14 and having to fight
giant
space invading.
Yeah, angels.
Yeah. Also joining us today is soon to be moving man Tyler Vidalis.
Hello.
What you don't hear, listeners, is the one tear rolling down my cheek as as we move ever closer to Tyler moving out.
No audio cue for that one.
No, not unfortunately. We do have one of those. Hold on, I gotta find it again. Oh no, that's the spoiler sound.
Spoilers.
Oh, rim shot. There it is.
There you go.
There it is. How does it feel? How long were you in that apartment for?
This apartment will be 2 years after I'm done with Nathaniel. This complex has been like 6 years.
Really?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's pretty crazy, man.
Congrats,
Yeah. It'll be cool. It'll be cool to get some new scenery, but there's been a lot of memories made in this building in particular. I haven't moved buildings. I've only moved apartments.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I still have like a video of like mine and Rob and Ryan's apartment when we moved out and like everything was said and done. I won't be able to get like the same video here because this place isn't going to be cleaned out. But yeah, overall, it's been okay. The management's been meh, which is why I'm moving.
Yeah.
Sure.
But other than that, I mean, like my brother lives in this complex. Brett, I don't know if you ever listen to these. I doubt you do, but he lives in this complex. I've known Brett for 20 years. We grew up in like the same cul-de-sac.
Okay.
We had another coworker named Tommy that lived in here for a little bit. I guess one of our other friends just moved out here who I don't really talk to very much. His name's Kieran. He played in a band with like Zack and a couple of those other guys that like Ryan has known for a really long time. But yeah, there's
a lot of ties.
Yeah, tons of people like live in this complex now ever since we moved out here, which is really funny.
It's a good spot.
So
Are you the OG, or did you bring everybody to you?
yeah, it was me,
guys.
Ryan, and Rob that started here first, and then everybody just kind of trickled in after us.
Sure. I remember when you moved in to this apartment. I remember you complaining to me about how you had to walk all your shit up a bunch of stairs.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny. Yeah. We didn't really have to move
Too far.
but having to keep going up and down stairs, quite the leg workout.
Yeah.
It's tired.
Yeah. And rounding out the squadron is the Yana and Habana main BlakeHolder.
What up?
Little Rainbow Six action for you there.
Yeah. For everyone who doesn't know, those are
Yeah, I could not decipher that.
those are probably the 2 operators I play the most.
Gotcha. And they're your main
Rainbow
ones.
Six Siege. Yeah,
Your main.
Correct.
Oh, gotcha.
Correct.
I just
So,
wasn't sure if Adam was trying to sound like Bahamas there, or if that was that was actually your main character.
Nah, her name is Habana. She reigns from Japan. She can
Oh.
shoot explosives at reinforced walls and makes like windows essentially in the reinforced walls.
And then I don't even know if it's pronounced Yana or Ayana. I'm not sure. I think she's Swedish, I believe. So if anyone wants to correct me on that, or maybe she's
how do you
Don't know.
s-
she might be Norwegian or something of that nature. I'm not sure.
I'm
how to pronounce her
Norwegian.
name.
Are you?
Do you know the nationality of Yana?
I'm trying to find out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin, Kara,
No,
and I
that's
are like
one of my other ones.
Norwegian, Irish,
Okay.
Hispanic, Indian.
Quite the mixed bag there.
Yeah, we're pretty muddy.
We're like that too, though. Just more like North European and then, Northern European.
Right.
I'm also kind of like that, but just with straight up white people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't co-sign that with you fellas. I am not like that.
She is from the Netherlands.
Where's she from?
The Netherlands. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Blake.
Okay. Netherlands, that's what it was. So yeah, do you know how to pronounce that? Do they give any research on that? Is it Yana? Brief tangent.
I think it's just
curious.
Yeah, Blake, you're taking this very seriously.
Yeah, I feel like I say it wrong every time. But yeah, nonetheless, those are my two mains in Rainbow Six Siege, the game I
You know what's
played probably the
crazy,
most.
Blake, is I'm
What's
looking
up,
at right now. I'm looking at rainbow6.fandom.com, and on here, apparently Yana's height is only 5'2". Which
Side
is
note,
pretty
so
small
speaking of
for
that, what if
for
they
an elite operative.
yeah, what if they actually like made that applicable in video games where like
You had
different
to-
like soldiers were different heights? Like that would be so unfair.
You had
That
to
would be
actually
worse.
have
So unfair.
like the
Yeah.
actual heights on there and stuff. Or you had to
Yeah.
play
Right.
at your own character height, so like we'd all be 6'2".
Well, do you
there's
guys
gotta
did
be
you guys
some
ever
balance
play
things.
on GameCube? Did you guys ever play Time Splitters?
No,
No,
not
but
say
I feel
that
like
I have.
I've heard that. Why do I know that
That-
name?
It's a first person shooter on GameCube that my my brothers and my dad and we would all play all the time.
Mm.
But on that game, there were certain characters that you weren't allowed to play as because they were so much smaller than the rest of them. Like there was like a monkey. You could play as like a monkey, and like unless you're a monkey, you can't hit the monkey.
So it was like a
it was
family
so
rule?
unfair. That was a family rule.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha,
but
okay.
it was so unfair to play as the monkey if you weren't also playing as the monkey.
Yeah.
So you had to have you had monkey games because it was fun to play as them, or you had
Mhm.
regular games where like if you played as a monkey, you couldn't really.
You were excommunicated.
Speaking
Excommunicated.
of monkeys, and I should have sent it to Tyler today because me and him kind of got a chat of some animals and stuff on Instagram. But I saw something. It was I forgot what kind of monkey it was. It was like a snub-nosed monkey or something of that nature. And it was just funny because I don't think it's too common. It's probably an endangered species. And
Mm.
like the comments on there, they were like, "Hey, like when did this monkey DLC drop?" Because it was like nobody knew what it was called. It was just super funny to see.
Got the newest monkey.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Monkey DLC.
Well, what's on the docket today?
I'm glad you asked one, Nathaniel Gingrich. We are looking at the first news story of the day. Mark Hamill, comedian Bert Kreischer, to star in The Machine for Legendary. So to get some context for this one, if you have not seen Bert Kreischer's comedy special, I believe it's called The Machine.
Yeah, it's like one of his bits, right?
Yeah, it's one of his bits from his first stand-up comedy specials, where he was on a study abroad trip, I believe it was, in Russia through his college, and on like a college trip, and got on a train and somehow got involved with the Russian mob, basically, and robbed the train. The way he tells it, obviously, since he's a comedian, is really funny. And I would recommend checking out all of his specials. They're pretty funny. I think I brought it up before.
Yeah, you were talking
Actually,
about
he's
it.
come up a couple times.
Yeah, you were talking about it for the cabin or whatever it is, or Tyler was talking
Yep,
about him for
the
the cabin. Yeah.
He's got the cabin, and I think I brought up one of his specials on the What We're Watching before a
Sure.
long time ago. But yeah, so him and Mark Hamill are going to be making a seemingly some kind of movie out of this story.
You think
to be released through Legendary?
you think Mark Hamill's gonna be the Russian mob guy?
That would make sense. That'd be fun.
I think that it would be my guess anyways. But that'd be pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
He can do he can do
I think
voices
he
and he's suitably menacing in some areas.
I think he could also be really funny. And I think
Yeah.
they released a small video of them like hopping on a plane, and I'm assuming heading to Russia. That's like what they implied with the video. and their back and forth was kind of funny. Their bit of banter.
They're gonna be
kind of just off.
Mark Hamill, kind of what?
Mark Hamill kind of just blows him off in the video. It was funny.
Oh,
I
okay.
liked it, and I think they'll have a good back and forth.
Do you think this is live action? Do you know? I'm sorry. That was my question.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that sounds fun. You said it's gonna be a Netflix movie?
It's gonna be released through Legendary. I
Oh,
don't
through
know,
Legendary.
I haven't confirmed. Yeah, Legendary is producing it, so I
Okay.
don't know if this sounds like something that would come to a straight to streaming service. I can't imagine.
It kind of does, doesn't it? Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I know. I can't imagine this getting a theatrical release, but I mean, if it's made by Legendary, it very well might.
Yeah, maybe.
So.
In my mind, this screams like a $15 to $20 million movie to me, and then it doesn't need anything crazy, but maybe they're going big with it. Who knows?
You mean it doesn't have the same budget as the Lord of the Rings TV show that everybody can't stop fucking talking about?
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna be talking about that soon.
Like right now.
Like right now.
we can't transition. Did you have anything else you want to say, Nathaniel?
No, not anymore.
All right. Well, speaking of Lord of the Rings, Ty, Amazon's The Lord of the Rings to cost $465 million for just one season.
Man,
Most expensive
Which
show of all time,
would-
right?
Correct.
Most expensive show of all time. So previous reports were estimating that it was going to be already a record-breaking $500 million for multiple seasons, and then
Alright.
it was revealed that it cost $650 million in New Zealand dollars, which is $465 million US dollars for
In-
just the first season of the
In
show.
like what, 2 weeks worth of work for Bezos?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, that's like the biggest thing. Like everyone's talking about like how much money is this. Like, do you understand like how much money that is to Jeff Bezos though?
Right, who's had a hand in in what goes on Amazon Prime before.
Yeah.
Like I'm fairly certain he just bought the Netflix or the Lord of the Rings rights for this and is gone from there.
Yeah,
that's what he did for The Expanse.
I'm totally cool with because like one, it's literally my favorite movie
I was gonna say
ever.
This is your
like,
far up your alley.
Yeah, so the more money they spend on this, the better I'm off. And yeah, I don't see why like everybody's like all up in arms. I'm like, shut up.
No, I don't
is
think
this
so.
thing picking up like at the end of the trilogy? Is it a side story or?
I can read
I'm
there's a
before.
description.
Curious.
There's a description in the story from Hollywood Reporter. It's rather long, but I'll get through what I can of it. The official description from The Lord of the Rings brings to screens for the very first time the heroic legends of the fabled Second Age of Middle-earth's history. The epic drama is set thousands of years before the events of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and will take viewers back to an era in which great powers were forged, kingdoms rose to glory and fell to ruin, unlikely heroes were tested, hope hung by the finest of threads, and the greatest villain that ever flowed from Tolkien's pen threatened to cover all the world in darkness. Beginning in a time of relative peace, the series follows an ensemble cast of characters, both familiar and new, as they confront the long-feared reemergence of evil to Middle-earth. From the darkest depths of the Misty Mountains to the majestic forest of the elf capital of Lindon, to the breathtaking island kingdom of Numenor, to the furthest reaches of the map, these kingdoms and characters will carve out legacies that live on after they are gone.
Okay. So we may see Gandalf, is what I got out of that.
Is that that creature type guy?
No, that's
That is
Gollum. Gandalf's the old man with the white beard.
Gandalf's the
Man,
wizard.
that just sounds so bad on my end. You can tell I know nothing about wizards.
That's okay. It like
Have you seen them? Like, you've seen them, right?
I'm sure I have. I don't think I've seen all three. I'm
Man,
sure
we
got
to do that. We got to do that marathon.
Yeah, we do got to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down.
When I come back for the summer, we will figure it out.
Yeah, we'll definitely need some time for that.
Yeah.
But cool. I mean, yeah, I'm excited for it. I'll watch it. And I know Tyler's
I'll
in.
definitely watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this budget is kind of needed for something like Lord of the Rings. I mean, if you want it to feel the same as the movies felt, you're going to need a budget like that to flush out all the characters, the settings, and everything like that.
My question is, how much of this is like New Zealand's yearly income?
Right.
Overall,
Yeah.
you know that I mean, is Lord of the Rings just its own industry in New Zealand at
Yeah.
this point?
Everyone's
Hey,
getting like everyone
big
that
part
lives
of
in New Zealand is getting a bonus this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Did Jeff Bezos buy New Zealand?
He probably could have.
He probably could.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I think that was the last bit I had on there, but I think this is kind of necessary. I don't. Yeah. Is 465 million? That's probably more than what one of the movies cost. I bet.
That's. They don't. I don't think they say in the story.
I'm gonna say it is.
They compared it to Game of Thrones, which roughly cost about 100 million per season.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
a big difference.
for one season, you have 4.5 times the budget.
Quadruple the price. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
We'll see. I'll definitely be checking this out. I mean, I also saw as I was scrolling through news stories that Amazon Prime has passed 200 million members. Or sorry, Amazon Prime Video, which is essentially the same thing as Amazon Prime. So
real quick, sorry, I didn't mean to jump in front of you here, but the Fellowship of the Ring cost 93 million to make.
Okay.
Man. So yeah, I mean that adds up though if you're making an entire season of a show.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I guess maybe 12 episodes, 10 episodes, so somewhere around 40 million an episode.
Yeah.
Oof.
The Hobbit cost substantially more.
How much did it go? Like 250?
The Hobbit, the first one, The Unexpected Journey is 180. Desolation of Smaug is 191. The first three are all under 100.
Interesting.
What I think is interesting is they're putting $465 million. How much do they expect to make off of this?
I don't think they
care. Make a profit off? They must not.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about this. How do you make a profit off of a TV show when it's just?
I think they're looking more like long term, like memberships.
Yeah, I mean they must be. They must be. But this is such a huge investment for them.
Yeah, but I mean, then again, like if this is we don't know how much of this money is coming from Bezos, and at the end of the day, he's obviously making a profit off of everything else.
The other thing is too. New shows, especially new popular shows, mean new merch. And if you're Amazon, you control the merch for the show. There's your big money.
Yeah, you know how much money nerds make and then want to spend on memorabilia or just
kids,
anything. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yep.
I do love how Ty's first reaction is good at nerds with money.
Oh, it's facts.
No, you're right. No,
I have Gimli's axe, Aragorn's dagger, Legolas's daggers. I have Sting. I have replica weapons of these. They're all under my bed.
And I'm sure you're not the only one.
No, God, no.
So, yeah. No, I think Nathaniel made a good point there. I think the merchandising money they'll make there is quite worth it.
Yeah, I think that would be where they're heading. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Discord lag got me again.
The Lord of the Rings series will be filming in New Zealand, but filming in Georgia will be Black Panther 2, as it won't move production from Georgia over the recent voting law that was passed that many others have boycotted. So if you missed this, was it a few weeks ago? I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. Georgia passed a voting rights law that basically compromises a lot of voting rights in the state.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It does things like make it harder for mail-in voting with with identification. Also, it had more of the actual effects. Trying to find it.
Can't give water to people. It was a very interesting law.
Can't hand out water to people water or food to people standing in line, which is something that a lot of Democrats, like the grassroots campaign that turned Georgia blue this past election, that was something that they were doing, is they were really encouraging people to wait and helping them out doing so. And so basically it was seen as a very restrictive voting law that is taking a lot of voters' rights away. And so some movies in Hollywood have, or some productions in Hollywood have said they're moving their production out of Georgia. The MLB, they moved, the All-Star game was supposed to be Atlanta. They moved it to Colorado. So a lot of people have been kind of taking their money to spend in Georgia on this kind of stuff. They're taking it out of there. Yeah, they're putting it elsewhere. But Black Panther 2, a movie that, is, the first one was iconic for for like black culture and everything like that, is not moving out of Georgia. So Ryan Coogler had published an op-ed in Shadow and Act, and said how he explained it as, he obviously hates these voter laws, thinks they're bad, but at the same time they are not spending that money in the state is going to affect the same people that are getting affected by this voting rights law, and that by moving it out of the state, he would actually be hurting the economy of these places that are now getting affected by that voting rights law and now having money taken away from them in that way. And so that's how he explained the reason for him not to move it out of Georgia. And he also said that he will continue to support organizations in the state that are advocating for a repeal of these voting rights or advocating for voters' rights in the state. Thoughts here, guys? Nathaniel?
I think like the cynic in me immediately goes to, well, Disney just told them that they're not going to budge, and there's a lot of money in Georgia. The reason that the film production companies work so often in Georgia is the huge tax incentives for doing so. And so when you have a tax incentive led state that's traditionally a Republican or right kind of platform in a very liberal area, there's going to be this kind of weird back and forth that happens. And it's always been this kind of weird handshake deal. Hollywood this kind of definitely seen as like the bastion of the left coming to Georgia. Definitely often kind of seen as, a hotbed there.
Oh, we lost Blake.
He gone.
Do you guys still got me?
Yeah.
That really threw me for a second. I thought for sure that we'd lost my thing and wouldn't be able to hear it. But okay, I guess we just won't be able to hear him until he's back on the call, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You can just go ahead and keep talking. We'll just roll right through.
Yeah, but
if he doesn't come back in a bit, we'll check on him.
This was always kind of a strange bedfellows situation anyways, and all eyes. Oh, looks like he might be coming back. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes forward. I think Coogler makes a good point. I think there's also a lot of people that would argue that the only way you make something change is by, going that extra mile and showing people
Standing your ground,
exactly, and making a statement. And, making a statement with your money is a certainly very provocative statement for some folks. But it is what it is. So not totally surprising for me, but, isn't completely unexpected either, I guess.
Gotcha. And it looks like I kind of lagged out there, so my apologies, listeners.
You're right, man.
But you guys are good to go. You guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Hey, real quick then, on the Black Panther tip, have they confirmed who's going to play?
No, we know
T'Challa?
nothing basically at this point.
Absolutely.
We know they're not recasting T'Challa,
Mm-hmm.
but their Black Panther will be played by, like, the role of Black Panther will be filled by a different character, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I saw somewhere that it's supposed to be filled by his younger sister, I think it was.
Shuri?
Ooh.
Sorry,
Okay.
I don't know her name. I don't know if you
Yes.
you cut out for.
Oh, Shuri.
Yeah.
I think her name
I
is.
remember. Yep. That
Okay.
sounds right.
But I think I saw somewhere that she will be taking
one that
the
makes
mantle of Black Panther.
A lot of sense.
Yeah, that makes sense story wise. Yeah, but they definitely have confirmed that they're not doing anything with Chadwick Boseman as far as like
Right.
recasting him or doing any kind of uncanny valley CGI stuff with them, which
Gotcha.
I think is definitely the right move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, like, you forgive the Carrie Fisher one because they, like, were in the middle of production when that kind of happened and
Yeah.
they needed to finish it out, or like the Paul Walker or something
Yep.
like that. But if the kind of thing is, if it's before any production starts,
Yeah, if you
it's
haven't
respectful.
seen any part of that, and
Yeah.
it's very, very respectful.
Is that it for news stories?
That'll be it for the news.
Okie dokie.
We can move on to trailer talk, where we'll talk about Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead official trailer. So we covered the teaser of this movie. I believe it was back in February, but they released a longer official version of the trailer that shows us a little bit more about what this movie's kind of premise is. As far we knew it was an action zombie movie, but as far as like the actual premise of the
Storyline.
the storyline, the type of zombie movie. So it seems like they're a little bit more organized. They're a little bit more like self-aware, kind of. They have a little bit more processing, I guess,
which is
you could say.
good.
It's different.
Yeah, because the only reason you kind of heard me chuckle there was because we're like after watching the teaser, you're like, is there really a plot line here? Like,
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm kind of back in on it, honestly. I gotta say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will see how it turns out. I really hope it sucks. I just want to shit on something, and I mean, we at least got we at least kind of got like Snyder cut because we also got to tear apart like the Whedon cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to just beat the shit out of something.
I don't know if it's gonna be this movie, man.
I don't know if it will be either.
I think this movie, it looks like Zombieland meets like Blade Runner 2049, just the Las Vegas bit meets like 28 days later.
That's crazy. That's a really good acronym.
I want to watch that now.
That movie,
Blade Runner.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm kind of in. Dave Bautista, like,
I don't know.
The only thing that doesn't sell me is like the people like running and shooting and they're not like taking like any aim whatsoever. But I guess there's a ton of zombies. But I don't know. Yeah. I'm a sucker for a ragtag team.
Sure.
I love a ragtag team, and I love a ragtag team done well.
So you're a really big fan of like the A-Team.
A-Team's okay, but like like the new Suicide Squad looks good.
Yeah.
I hate the old Suicide Squad.
Sure.
Because it's a ragtag team done extremely poorly. But like I'm talking like I love a ragtag team, and I love a journey movie where you got to get from like a location to another location, and so like Apocalypse Now, any of that kind of stuff, I'm always a sucker for.
Well, it's because when you're going from like point A to point B, it progresses
it's the classic hero quest.
It's so great.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of in on this. There's a zombie tiger. Come on, like that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Zombie Tiger, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, it feels like what we talk about with Zack Snyder, or that what you've talked about with Zack Snyder, Nathaniel, how he just kind of films the coolest thing he could think of. To me, when he knew he was filming a zombie movie, or at least another zombie movie, that's what he wanted to put in there, was a zombie tiger. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's gonna be like one of those scenes where it's like it's on a very thin line on like, did we really need to see that? Or
I don't know, man. I disagree. I feel like part of what hampers Snyder so often is writing, and he's at least co-written this one, and it's by a guy that is nowhere near any of the DC stuff. So that automatically thinks this one has a better chance of being, more of a movie.
Sure.
And I watched all this trailer and didn't see a Jesus metaphor once. So, that's a good step in the right direction for me. Not a lot of slow motion. That also appeals to me.
In the trailer, we don't know what a slow motion.
Yeah, I hope there's a lot of it.
If the ratio of slow mo trailer is the same as this one as it was to Snyder cut version, then like we're in the clear. We'll be less than 10% of the entire movie in slow motion. But yeah, I don't know. I did not expect to be in this position here. Well, I'm suddenly the Zack Snyder defender.
That's funny.
Yeah. There are 3 writing credits on Army of the Dead. It's Zack Snyder, Shay Hatton, and Joe B. Harold. Shay Hatton did John Wick 3, Chapter 3.
Okay,
cool.
That's really the only thing he's written that I recognize it from. He also, I guess, wrote 4 and 5.
Cool.
John Wick. And then the other person, Joe B. Harold, has done Edge of Tomorrow. He's an executive producer. Let's see his writing credits. He did Obi-Wan Kenobi, part of that, it looks like. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, which I think was like...
We were just watching?
That's so funny. We just had that on before we started this.
Is that what you were watching?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm back in. I'm excited. I like the idea of Snyder going back to his roots. I like the idea of him going to a horror movie, particularly a zombie movie, because Dawn of the Dead is a good movie.
Yeah,
it's like an action movie though. I don't know how horror it will be.
I don't know. Like, but even then, that's fine. I don't know. I'm kind of in on this.
I feel like those are like hand in hand though. You kind of can't have a zombie movie without action.
You can, but like, there's definitely a hard and fast genre line that you can do there too.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't give anyone guns.
It looks like they're taking the like the Zombieland Resident Evil route. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. But it seems like
runners instead of walkers.
But it seems like the zombies have like their own culture in some ways. They've evolved. There's like a king and a leader, and they're like you can see they're using tactics and stuff, and that gets more interesting to me. That almost feels like I Am Legend, where it's where you got one guy left, and he's become like the monster in the night to this whole other community of zombies. Because at that point, it becomes all right, this is a different species rather than our natural predators or something.
Did you look at I Am Legend as a zombie movie or a vampire movie when you first watched it?
Well, I have a weird, complicated relationship with I Am Legend because I read the book before I saw the movie. But the movie is more of a zombie movie. The book is, and all their prior adaptations are much more a vampire style story, or vampire monsters, I should say.
Cool. Yeah. We can talk later, but cool.
Yeah, we will.
I think Bautista interests me. It seems like he's the lead.
Yeah, I think so too.
How could he not be? It's fucking Bautista.
He's very rarely a lead.
I know, that's why it's funny.
This would be the first movie I've seen him in as a lead. Has he done any other movies as a lead?
I went through the list last time.
Yeah, he did My Spy.
Yeah. But no, he's never.
I don't think he's ever been the single. It's never been a Dave Bautista vehicle.
Correct.
Yeah. So we'll see how he does there. I've liked him and everything else. That I think we talked about him a couple weeks ago when we talked about wrestlers. I think.
Yeah.
But I've liked everything else I've seen from him. So we'll see. I'm open to it. I'm not trying to knock it down before I've seen anything. So
I get knocked down.
And I get up again.
All right, and then for our next trailer. Marvel Studios' Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Oh, Tyler's cooking up some thoughts over there. I see him.
Tyler's rubbing his hands together. What are your thoughts here, Ty?
I'm kind of hyped because for anybody that doesn't like overly know what Shang-Chi, it's the real Mandarin's son.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody thinks like the Mandarin was what was in Iron Man 3.
Ben Kingsley.
And so it's going to be cool to see how they kind of pull this into that. Because this is essentially supposed to kind of erase what happened.
In terms of the Mandarin, I think. Yeah. The Mandarin is Iron Man's main villain in the comics.
Yep.
And in Iron Man 3, it was always set up that he was going to be this insane villain, and it was a gut punch. Yeah, spoiler by the way for Iron Man 3, a movie that came out literally 8 years ago. But it's revealed in the second half of the movie that Ben Kingsley is a sham and is an actor, and that they created the role of the Mandarin for him. But this seems to be retconning that, and so that there actually was a Mandarin, and who famously owns the 10 Rings of Power, and he's now battling against Shang-Chi.
Correct. Which is great. I'm very excited for this. This should reprimand a lot of misunderstandings that people have with the Mandarin and the 10 Rings. Because like even in Iron Man 1, the bald guy.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. He's wearing one of the rings of power.
He's wearing one of the rings.
Yeah, his name's like Shaw or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes, I was enough of a nerd that I caught that too. And there's like the logo
symbol
of the 10 rings behind it. Yeah. And I'd always understood in the comics that the 10 rings were actual 10 physical like finger rings. That in this they're almost more like armbands, I think.
Yeah.
Which is also cool.
I like when they have like different versions and stuff like that.
Is that what we see in the trailer on?
I think so. Yeah. Which he says he's taught him how to wield the 10 rings, which I wonder if each one of those is going to be like, because he's the master of kung fu. So I wonder if each one of those will be like a martial art or something like that, or a technique that he can use, which would be very cool. This film feels the most almost like genre of the Marvel movies that I've seen in a while. Like it just seems like because we've been watching a lot of anime, I'm almost like, this feels like an anime, but then also it's like it's definitely a kung fu movie.
Well,
like you can just tell.
it's gonna be really cool. But I mean, this was supposed to come out in February.
Right.
And then obviously got pushed back because of COVID things.
Right.
But yeah, this is really cool because this is like gonna be like the first Asian character
Right.
In like Marvel history that has like their own lead role. Like it's gonna basically. I really hope it kind of builds like a whole new genre of a sense for Marvel because it looks really good.
Yeah, I think it looked really, really fun as well. Aquafina's in it. I actually like her in a lot of stuff. She's really good in The Farewell. There's a Speed reference.
Yep.
I was like, yes, we're going back to Speed. I'm so excited.
Speed's so good.
Speed's awesome.
Yeah, I wasn't even really sure what Shang-Chi was in general, but I mean, I'm just excited to see a Marvel martial arts movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Opposed to something else that just looks dope, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that it's gonna. I think it's this has really good potential.
Yeah,
I mean, Kung Fu's been a huge thing since like the 1970s when all that came in.
Sure,
and you get like the Bruce Lees and all the Kung Fu kick in America, and that's like when this originated as a comic book.
Right, and then you got the resurgence of like the Hong Kong action movies of the 90s of like John Woo and everything like that.
So yeah, I think this will be a really cool rebirth of a genre that we haven't really seen in a while.
It's gonna be fun. We're getting Mortal Kombat like traditional, like almost like more what you see. What's the word I'm looking for? Not realistic, but natural, I guess, or something like that. And then we're also getting Shang-Chi, Master of the Kung Fu in the same year. Kung Fu movies are back, man.
I'm in.
We're in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, Adam, what are your thoughts? We haven't really given you a chance to speak much. Tyler and I just got so excited about.
Sorry,
it's hard when we're in the same room together and you guys aren't, because we kind of start to have a conversation and then it never feels like
like when you guys talk. I have to.
It's all good.
No, I definitely agree with everything you guys have said. I think I definitely get those like martial arts, kung fu movie kind of vibes from it, which I think is going to be awesome when you put that in the Marvel universe. So I can't wait to see what they do there, and I also can't wait to see how they tie it in, because tied in with like Doctor Strange kind of stuff, because it's similar kind of mystic arts, right?
That I don't know. I can definitely see them leading together. When I was looking at or when I saw in the clip what I thought looked like the 10 rings, some of it almost looked like they might be vibranium to me. There was like kind of a little purple energy in there, but I wouldn't surprise me, Aish, if they go the route of like you go dive into like those sorcerer dimensions to get your power in it or something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought it was kind of going down this way. If that's not what it is, and that's not what happens, that's totally cool. But regardless, I mean, Marvel hasn't missed, as we keep saying.
True.
Since, I can't even remember the last time they missed. So give me more. Just give me it all. As long as it's good, I'm gonna be on board for it. That'll be it for trailer talk, though, I think, guys, unless you guys have any other closing thoughts on Shang-Chi.
I'm really excited.
Hyped. Yeah.
I am glad. And having seen this now, I'm glad actually that they saved the Mandarin for the villain of Shang-Chi, because I'm just a little afraid if they try to play it straight with like the Iron Man character, like having it come out in 2013, we'd all be like, man, we had to cancel Iron Man now. Because remember the time they got really racist with the Mandarin or something?
That was a different time.
Yeah.
True.
New to streaming. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Of course, it's completely subjective new to streaming list for the week 4/18 through 4/24.
What do you think is worthwhile adding on here?
Not a lot, man. There's not a lot to choose from, and even from that, there's even less to put on the list. So to Netflix and Amazon Prime, you got absolutely nothing. There was not a ton coming there that seemed worth checking out. There is stuff, of course, but this is subjective, so not really much that I would check out. I'll put it that way. Maybe that's how I should phrase it. This is the stuff I would check out.
There you go.
To Hulu, you got the Greta Thunberg A Year to Change the World documentary premiere. This has been a documentary that I've actually seen win a few awards and has gotten some buzz around it. It's about Greta Thunberg, I think during 2019, I want to say.
Okay.
It followed her activism over like an entire span of a year. It's won a few awards, so it's coming to Hulu exclusively, I believe, at least for the time being. So definitely worth checking out.
All right.
And then the HBO Max, we're getting Mortal Kombat, baby.
I'm sorry, what?
Mortal Kombat. Did it cut out?
Is that how it's pronounced, or is it Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, man, I'm pumped. It'll probably suck, but
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Have you seen the first
think
ones?
so?
I've seen the first one. I haven't seen Annihilation.
I think I have it on DVD.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think I
you
have
seen
them
either of
both on
those, Adam?
DVD.
Adam?
I haven't seen either of them. No, I'm sorry. I haven't seen either of them.
Yeah, I figured I'd ask just because those are dated. I mean, those
Okay.
movies are like, they're so bad.
Were you born when they came out?
I was born in 2000.
I'm aware of that.
No, those had to be 90 something.
I know. Yeah, I feel like the first one. Yeah, 95 and 97. Yeah, so it is from before you were born.
They predate me. Interesting. This is coming out, just so everybody's aware, on 4/23, which is Friday, I believe, right?
Yep.
And we're gonna do it for our next episode. Bit of sizzle.
Yes, sir. It is sizzle. That will be next week's review. So that's coming straight to HBO Max, also to theaters, select theaters. So go ahead and check that out and then join us next week. And then that'll be it for HBO Max. To Disney Plus, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 6 season finale.
Man, we're there already, aren't we?
We're there already. Only 6 episodes. It was a little bit shorter than WandaVision.
Yeah,
But we can use this
but
as a little
man.
transition into our Falcon and Winter Soldier segment because I have caught up. Are you guys caught up?
Hooray!
Yes, we are.
We are caught up.
Fantastic. All right, listeners, we're going to go ahead and talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Full spoilers here for a sec. So if you do not want Falcon and the Winter Soldier all the way up until episode 5 spoiled for you, go ahead and check the episode description where I'll put a timestamp where you can jump to and you'll be spoiler free. Nathaniel,
I'm playing the spoiler noise.
you is already on it. You didn't even wait for my cue.
Sorry about that. I didn't know you were gonna cue me in, but next time I'll be ready.
You're good. You're good. No, I cued you as you pressed it.
All right, there we go.
Just a delay, messed it up a little bit. We love Discord. All right, man, this show is really, really good.
So you're enjoying it.
Episodes 4 and 5 are awesome. 4 was really cool. I mean, obviously you have really cool action sequences. And at the beginning of the 5 you do as well. But the implications that this show has brought up about Captain America, what it means to be Captain America, and also just being a Black American, and then that kind of what it would mean for Sam to pick up the shield as a Black Captain America. That is something I'm so glad that they're playing with. It's so interesting to think about. And I'm very interested to see what they do with this in episode 6. Because obviously they're setting it up for him.
That's
to
dope,
become,
dude. Yeah, I haven't watched any of this, so I wasn't even aware they had like themes of that going on. But yeah, that's actually dope that they're actually tying that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really. I was kind of falling off, to be honest with you, after episode 2 or 3. I think I kind of alluded to that a little bit.
Weird.
I alluded to that a little bit last week. But then 3 ends. Yeah, 3. No, is it 3 or 4? 4 ends with him decapitating that dude with that shield, and I was like, okay, well, gotta watch the next episode now. But yeah, it's been a lot of interesting ideas that they've brought up. I'm really bought in at this point. I'm really nervous that they've only got 1 episode left to kind of tie everything together, and I don't know if they will, because it kind of feels like it's just leading to a big punch up, which is fine, but I don't know. I got the impression this is more of a limited series, and I don't know if they're going to do a second season, and there's just so many good, fresh ideas like that you've talked about, Adam, like the Isaiah Bradley's a fascinating character that they've brought in. Zemo's incredible. These ideas, like I honestly wish they had another 2 episodes to kind of work these things out a little bit more, because I'm just afraid that some of those things are going to get a little bit short shifted. Like for example, there was something that like happened in like episode 1 that I was like, remember this? And we've just never really come back to that plot point, but now I can't quite put my finger on what it was.
Bucky starts dating, and that he has that guy that.
The kind of his thing of him making amends and stuff like that. Like that kind of storyline has really dropped off. And now it feels like they're kind of getting back to it, but it just it's almost like oh yeah, I remember that, rather than this has kept my interest in the tension throughout in some ways. But
for sure, I was thinking about that as I finished up episode 5. I was like, there's a lot that we kind of left in episode 1 and 2 with Bucky, especially.
yeah,
It kind of just became about Falcon mainly and his quest to find what was it, Carly, something like that. Forgot the antagonist's name. But I wish they would, because that was so cool. I think we talked about it when we talked about the first episode, how Bucky's going on a date, but it's like, what is it like dating when you're 106
Right.
and you were at one point a killer soldier and all that stuff, and they kind of just left it. They asked us that question for one episode and have left it. So we'll see if that ever comes back.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a couple of those things that are kind of, I'm finding a little irksome, but yeah, I don't know. I'm very excited for the last episode though. There's something else I was gonna say. Tyler, you say something instead though.
I mean, the whole season's just been really great. It's cool to see like their friendship kind of pick up again.
Yeah, that was great. That was what I was gonna say. They've done a great job setting up why Sam will be a great successor to Steve and how he responds to different things.
Yeah.
And that I really, really like. Sorry, that's my final thought. You can
you're okay.
yours.
But yeah, I think it's really important to kind of see like Sam's character arc too, and it's really great how they're tying that whole piece in where you didn't know that there was a Captain America before Captain America, and he was black. And they basically, go through the whole thing of how they completely erased him, and they did experiments on him, and it's really, really wild to see that, and to know that he's still afraid of it today.
Yeah.
And then it's really cool to also see him like say, no self-respecting black man would want to be Captain America. And then with everything that's happening in Georgia and Black Panther saying we're not moving out of Georgia and standing up for something, it's really cool that you also get to see Sam say like, well, just because he does that doesn't mean I'm going to. Like, and I am a self-respecting black man, and I am going to stand for what I believe in. And yeah, so it's really cool, how they're tying in everything like that. For him and his character and what that means as an American, and as an African American. So yeah, it's been really, really great, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the last episode. It was incredibly montagey.
Yeah, there are some issues I have with this show in terms of how they break up their episodes and in place of the overall story.
Yeah,
because like this episode almost works in reverse of how normal story works,
Sure.
where you have the huge climactic battle at the start of the episode, and then it just devolves into a series of talks that are like separated by two really strange montage moments.
Where usually it's the other way around.
Yeah, like Netflix is spending Amazon's spending $465 million on a season of Lord of the Rings, yet somehow Disney has to like overlay a series of boat images on each other, accompanied by music and a voiceover, just because we couldn't find anything else to film that day, or like we ran out of time. It's probably COVID. I'm being a jerk, but like it just there's elements to this episode that felt really like
out of place.
Well, in also like terms of like out of quality, like
Sure.
like the props weren't quite as good. Some other stuff was going on there, but
Yeah, like they just threw some pads on a tree.
yeah, I like that.
And like Sam like can just yeet the shield.
So
They make it look so easy.
that was another thing that I
So
thought was
easy.
really weird was they have the conversation and he and Bucky are just kind of flipping the shield around, and it's like nothing. And then later he's got to
It's like
have
throwing a frisbee.
and then he's got to have his own training montage to just get up to the skill level it seemed like he was when he was talking with
Yeah.
Bucky earlier.
It's like, you were already whipping this around. Why are you starting from zero?
Right. And then we got
Also, he catches the shield, which feels like might be a super soldier thing to do. I don't know if a regular person could catch a shield like that. I don't know.
definitely got a stunt man in there too. We caught that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you catch
No
that one
way.
frame or two where you just definitely
Yep.
see his face?
Oh, the guy
Definitely.
flipping?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so funny. He was like doing basically a full, and he like as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's not him.
Yeah, that's kind of obvious.
Also, they're definitely setting up Young Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, because we've seen a couple of them at this point. There's Wiccan and Speed, who are Wanda and Vision's kids. Then there's Isaiah Bradley's grandson, who is Patriot, and then Torres, the kid that's kind of like helping out with Falcon. He becomes a new Falcon at one point in the comics as well, too. So I think they're setting up a Young Avengers.
Yeah,
team.
because he's keep the wings.
Yeah.
So
And then I feel like there's been another one that's been hinted at too.
There's another show. I think it's.
Ironheart. Ironheart is definitely going to be
yeah.
part of it. I think that might be where we start to see this kind of stuff to come together. Where the kind of the next generations coming in.
Is that a superhero, Ironheart?
Yeah, she's Riri Williams. She's she's an African American, like younger schoolgirl, basically, but she's just as smart as Tony Stark and builds her own set of Iron Man armor.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I wish I would have known something like that. When you said Ironheart, I'm like, isn't that a fucking transformer?
It sounds like one if it isn't.
My
I
sister's
think it is.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
His name's Gavin. I've never met him in person.
Okay.
And I've only heard him on the phone like a couple times.
Big Transformers guy?
Obsessed. There's been like, and I think it stemmed from his friend first, I think Kara was telling me. And
Which Transformers? Like the OG or like
like
Michael Bay?
like OG, and like I'm sure like I'm still an okay fan of the Michael Bay stuff, but like obviously they'll never be like the OG cartoons that I watched. Like Beast Wars is probably like some of my like most memorable shit.
What was there's a rat character in that. What was his name?
I think his name's Rat Trap.
Is it Rat Trap?
I'm pretty sure it's Rat Trap. And he had wheels for back legs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it is Rat Trap.
Yeah.
And I get it confused with Claptrap from
Borderlands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny. But yeah, obsessed. There's been like times where like Kara's just like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "Hey," and I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, we're at Target in the toy aisle."
Gotta have the new ones. I mean, they're probably making really cool Transformers nowadays.
Shit, yeah, way better than what we had.
Ours was like you like put your head into your nuts and then like his arms flip out and those are your wheels.
Yeah.
And like
Incredible.
these guys, they probably got like die cast ones now and they're all like
A bunch of parts.
they make noises.
Yeah, 100%.
You could probably they could probably do it on their own at this point. Like, what were you saying? I'm sorry. You're not on my screen, so I have to watch Tyler's for when you're speaking.
Oh no, it's all good. I don't think I had.
No, I was the one who cut it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Marvel also has the Miss Marvel show, which is a
Oh, yeah.
younger,
Kamala Khan.
lead. Yeah, Kamala Khan. So she also might play into the Young Avengers. Maybe that's where they set it up.
What a dog shit game.
I'm still so mad at that.
Avengers, the video game.
I'm so mad.
Sucks ass.
I'm so mad.
If you haven't bought it, you're thinking about buying it. Don't
Don't.
fucking buy it. Sorry.
Oh, the one that just came out like last year.
Yeah.
Horrific game.
Funny enough, Marshawn tried to get me to buy that game, and now I feel like he's intentionally a jackass for the way you guys are going in on this game.
Man, Tyler, they convinced me to buy it too.
Bro.
I was never a part of this.
I was convinced by Birkenbach.
Adam,
yeah,
yeah.
You son of a bitch, if you listen to this.
And yeah, it's
right.
just one of the most broken games
Oh,
I've
man.
ever come across.
It's so
That's tough.
bad.
Nothing worse than your buddy talking you into spending $60 on a game, and you're like, dude, this fucking blows.
Yeah.
Man, it was
It's I whatever though. It is what it is, and like Chewie got it as well, and we played as the 4 Avengers like once and a half times, and it was okay.
the game literally glitched for me so that it couldn't I could not continue the game.
Yeah.
And that was after like the 5th time like someone's face like went through a wall that
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, I'm done
Or
with
like
this.
their hair was like 2 feet away from where their head was.
Inexcusable that game was released.
It's that bad,
Bro, there's a lot of problems.
Yeah, sure.
Anyways, tangent over. Sorry.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. No. So,
Yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier has been really interesting. I hope they can nail it on this last episode. I just get a little bit worried. And I hope they actually do keep a lot of the themes coming up of the show forward, you know?
True.
I hope so too. I think it would be a shame if they kind of just left it in this one season.
Well, I hope, you know, that Marvel kind of got a bad history of just things of consequence happening in some movies and then those things just being kind of forgotten in the next movie. So if you're going to make a series like this that deals with these themes that are so prescient and so kind of, melded into today's society, then I hope they don't just kind of like, well, we've done the race one. All right, next one, kind of moving on, you know?
We'll see, though.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right. Welcome back, listeners who skipped over Falcon and the Winter Soldier spoilers. We're going to get into the rather quick what we're watching as we are pushing we're pushing an hour here, close to an hour on actual recording time. So we'll try to get through this quick. Ty, Nathaniel, why don't you guys kick it off?
I'll let Nathaniel go just because I know he was traveling, so I don't think he has as much.
Yeah.
I don't even think I have that much, to be honest with you. Go ahead.
Of the movies I watched last week, I watched Space Jam.
Oh, yeah, I do remember you telling me that.
Mostly because I could not get the second one's trailer out of my mind, and just how, like, the more I thought about it, the more I kind of discussed it with people, the more angry it made me. And I was like, am I just like hyping this up? Am I just, is the first one just as guilty of like this commercialism and all that kind of stuff? And like, I'm just being an old man shouting at clouds. And so I rewatched OG Space Jam, the Space Jam.
Yeah.
And I think I'm. I don't even know if I'm right or wrong. I can't even decide that or not. I worded that too poorly. But I think the first Space Jam is significant and good in its own way. Like, it's not just nostalgia, I guess, is my point, is what I'm saying. Like, it's a weird movie.
Yeah.
It works on it goes like 3 levels deep.
Yep. It's like the first children's Inception.
Yeah. if you want to frame it that way, sure. But like, it's Michael Jordan playing a fictional version of himself in a world where the Looney Tunes are revealed to just live in the center of the earth.
Yes.
And aliens are real. They can steal your powers. And they also
the
live.
Monstars are aliens, right?
Yeah, they are. Well,
yeah, that's what I thought.
The Nerdlucks and then the Monstars. And then like. And so that was the other thing is that, and what's also tied into what we're watching too, is watching Space Jam, having it watched The Last Dance, you can see where they're making like caricatures of real people too.
Yeah.
Like the Monstars main bad guy is this kind of like short, stout businessman figure, always chewing on a cigar.
Yeah. That's definitely like the GM, right?
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
And so, and he's played by Danny DeVito, and like, so that was really interesting too. And hearing Jordan, because his character in the movie is talking about like why he plays baseball, is his dad was talking to him about it and stuff, and it was his dad's favorite sport and everything. Yep. And then like to have that, which also has all of these really strange product placement and kind of like commercialism and everything. Like the first half of the movie is the first minute and a half of the movie, or 2 or 3 minutes, the credits actually, is all just a Michael Jordan like highlight tape,
montage,
basically. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, so you use this so you can use the entire song and not have to make the movie another 7 minutes longer or something like that. But yeah, so I got to that, and watching that made me feel like I was correct in that the new Space Jam seems very soulless and scary, 100%. In my opinion. But it also inspired me to download most of The Last Dance so that I could watch it on a plane when I went to other locations. But instead, I ended up reading most of the time. So not too bad anyways. I half watched
Last Dance, always a good rewatch.
Last Dance is it's really good.
That today is the 1-year anniversary of that when that first.
Is it?
That's crazy.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah. So tying into the other big thing that Tyler and I watched a lot of this week, which was Initial D. When I was over in Arizona for the wedding, which by the way, great wedding, awesome time. Shout out Luke, and congrats to Luke and Ashton.
Nice.
Congrats.
But Tyler and I have been watching Initial D. Couldn't really watch it without him there, so I the only thing I could think of to watch was the car guys that Tyler watches on YouTube who also work on cars similar to the ones that are in Initial D. So I watched a lot of a gentleman named Dustin Williams and a lot of a gentleman named TJ Hunt. Both were exciting and cool, and it was interesting for me to learn about
them. Different in their own way.
Yeah, I think Dustin lines up more with my kind of personality in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I was gonna ask who your favorite out of the two was.
I think you line up more with TJ.
Yeah. I love Tej, but like Dustin's car repertoire is like literally all my cars.
Yeah, I found that to be very interesting as well.
Yeah.
Like
he's way more like JDM. Like he's a true JDM like traditionalist.
Which is where I find my interests more aligning than like, because like there was another one that I watched a bit of, which was TJ and his
RX-7
co-star. Well, I watched the RX-7, which was awesome, but his co-star Calvin.
Oh, Calvin.
Where they were getting the Audi R8. I don't know cars, guys. I'm learning. And
dope car.
I was like,
Iron Man's car.
That is a great car.
Which one?
An R8 is Iron Man's car. Is it the white one?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So we were watching, and I was watching a bit of that, and I was like, I don't like this as much when it's like the
exotics
new
are weird.
super car.
Exotics are weird. Yeah.
The JDMs I just think are so much more interesting.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, that's really been it. It's been that and Initial D, which you've heard me talk about a lot. It's an anime about racing, and now it's gotten me into a whole world I never expected to be in. So here we are. But big recommends for sure.
Lit. TJ and Duddy has not been around as long as TJ as far as like how big he is, just because Dutt was basically part of TJ's crew.
Right. I remember seeing him in early episodes, and
then he kind of developed into his own thing.
And I almost didn't think it was him because he's so much beefier than
Yeah, he went through like a whole phase where he like actually like entered a body contest, like got first place in his division. Like, dude's jacked.
He's a big guy.
Yeah. He's got partnerships with like Ghost, like Nutrition, who do a bunch of things for like pre-workout and protein and all that stuff. So but yeah, it's very cool to see that, you know, you're kind of getting into those, and they both have a lot of cars that I would very much enjoy. And just the life.
Yeah. Yeah, like, that is pretty cool.
To be a famous like streamer or somebody like playing video games would be cool. Be like great. Like that's probably like one of the best things you could possibly think of. But
for
me, as much as I love video games, if you're telling me my daily job was to go to my garage and work on my cars with money that I'm making from doing the things that I love.
Right. And stream it all.
And not even stream it, just film it and then make a movie out of it. A 20-minute daily movie. And like, dude, that guy,
sad we weren't blessed with rich parents.
TJ really wasn't.
No, I wasn't even saying it as that. I'm just talking about for our own stuff.
I mean, that's kind of where we would have to be. But anyways, it's really great to see those. So Initial D, obviously I got around to with Nathaniel here. Friends, I have 2 more episodes left.
Yeah, you're in the back 9.
And I'm kind of dreading it. So yeah, we have the last episode, which is like 45 minutes, and then the second to last episode, which is like 20 minutes. So I got like an hour total left of Friends, and we'll see how that goes. I did a lot of Twitch, a lot of YouTube. Leah and I watched another documentary about Casey Anthony.
Oh,
yeah. So that's been pretty nuts. Yeah, I think I got through the first 2 episodes. And I think Leah might have fallen asleep. Dude? Yeah.
Okay. What's that called?
I think it's just Casey Anthony.
Okay.
Make Nathaniel sad hour.
It's wild.
I mean, yeah, it's an interesting,
to
say the least, an interesting story.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, obviously, and then Leah and I watched Big Hero 6.
Man, I've been thinking about getting to that the last couple of days. I downloaded that on my iPad to watch on the plane too, but I just read.
Because you hadn't seen it, right?
No, I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, because I remember we were talking about that a little bit ago, and that is just a fantastic movie.
It looks awesome.
I love it.
Adam, what did you say? I couldn't quite hear you.
I haven't seen Big Hero 6 either.
Man.
Isn't it technically in the Marvel universe, or it's like Marvel adjacent?
Kind of.
Okay.
But yeah, great universe, great story, feel good,
I'm trying to figure.
good humor,
I feel like there had to be something else that I watched last week.
great animation.
I think so. It looks beautiful.
I love it.
I really like the designs from what I've seen of it.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch it on OLED.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be great.
Yeah. I'm going to be very, very happy.
Adam, what did you watch this week?
I have a rather short list, but some I'm excited to get to. I watched for my film class. I watched JCVD.
Jean-Claude
seen
Van
this?
Damme.
Yeah,
Isn't that where he's
so
playing
called-
like a version of himself?
Yes, yeah. He's playing himself. It's
Wait. Has a movie named after him?
It's I wouldn't what year this come out, but yes, it's called
2014
JCVD.
maybe?
I never knew he had a movie.
No,
named
had to be
after him.
earlier
I
than
wonder
that.
if,
2008. 2008.
Okay, yeah.
But I really
Crazy.
liked it.
It's really good.
I've never seen. Yeah, it is really good. I haven't seen any really other Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. I'm aware of him. I know who he is. I know he was like an action star in like the
yeah.
80s and 90s. But so going into this movie, it was kind of interesting because I obviously knew of him. I didn't really know much about him, but it does say a lot about his life and the struggles he's gone through from. It deals a lot with Jean-Claude Van Damme as a person, and then Jean-Claude Van Damme as the international movie star that he became from Brussels. And so when he goes back to Brussels, because the movie is actually dubbed, or at least the way I watched it was dubbed. I'm sure you can find a regular version with subtitles, but it's in French. And so he goes back to Brussels, and it's kind of him dealing with trying to be a regular person. And then also he's one of the biggest stars in Brussels because he's one of the only people who ever really break out internationally. And so he's just everywhere he goes, he gets immediately recognized, and it's hard for him to live like that. It was also very interesting to watch because we've talked all semester, or at least we talked a little bit through the semester about like the French New Wave kind of films and French filmmaking and foreign filmmaking, and how Hollywood kind of started a lot of stuff, but there's actually been a lot of other places that have almost done their own thing with filmmaking.
Sure.
And so this was the first French film that we watched all semester, and I've seen French films before, like Cleo from 5 to 7. But watching it now with like my new appreciation for film, very interesting to see what they do with the camera and all the long takes they have and the lighting. The whole film is very gray and brown and in these dark tones. Very interesting stylistically. But it was a very good movie. It's the plot of it is strange, but I like how they tell the story because it's him. I mean, spoilers for a 13-year-old movie. He gets framed kind of for robbing this post office or bank. And it's him. It tells a story where you see him kind of go in the post office, but then it goes back and then you see him, what his day has been leading up to that and why he actually went to the post office and all that stuff. And then the ramifications of like the story that was never heard, because he ultimately gets the way the movie ends, he essentially gets framed for it in a certain way. And it's just this commentary on what you see versus his actual story of what he's going through. Very, very interesting. I really liked it. I definitely recommend it if anyone's interested. Really like that. And the whole theme of last week for film was stardom, so I think that definitely played into it. I also kept up with How I Met Your Mother. And I think I'm on season 3 now, or at least close to the end of the season 2. The show is still so good. It's so good. From season 1, I don't know if there's a bad season really because I haven't got all the way through, but I remember watching a lot of the later seasons.
2 and 3 are some prime How I Met Your Mother seasons overall. I think
3 are.
I think they're kind of considered the best. 2, 3, 4, somewhere in there.
Okay.
But
because 2 has been really good.
Yeah, I really like 2.
Yeah. So yeah, keeping up with that. There's not really too much more to add there. And then more episodes of Demon Slayer in. This has been a very long watch for me. I think I started watching it like 2 months ago or 2.5 months ago. But I think I'm now on episode 11 or 12.
Okay.
So about halfway through. I haven't got to. I talked to my friend today, Nathaniel. I remember last time I brought up Demon Slayer, you mentioned how there's a fight scene that when you see it changes your perspective on the show, and you're kind of all in. I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. I was gonna say you
I
gotta be
talked to my
getting
friend
there
about it today.
pretty
I
close.
gotta be getting close, and that's what he said. My buddy said I'm getting really close, but I just finished the fight where it's two demons and it's like the ball and the arrow guy.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Cool fight. Not amazing, but I was watching this. I was like, is this the fight Nathaniel thinks I should be like? I should know this is like the thing.
Primer.
Yeah. Okay. Apparently it's a primer. But still, really, really good show. I'm still really enjoying it. The animation is just, oh my god.
Yeah, it's really
I
beautiful.
haven't. And I was talking to my friend. Apparently, when I get to that spot you're talking about, Nathaniel, it amps up even more. So I can't wait to see that.
I think you'll like it.
But yeah, I'm liking it so far. I'm excited to see where it goes. The story is a little. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the story itself.
Right.
Yeah, it's not my top for me. It's not.
Yeah.
It hasn't quite hit that pantheon for me yet.
Mm-hmm. It's just there's nothing super gripping. Like it's a very straightforward premise, and his goal is obviously very clear. But it's just there's nothing super gripping about it to me. It just kind of feels like
Yeah.
a little bit of not monster of the week, but it kind of so far has felt that way a little bit.
Sure.
So we'll see where it goes. I haven't finished it, but I know it's well regarded, so I will definitely make sure I do. But that's it for what we're watching. Blake, what did you watch?
Hey, yeah, I watched a few things. Quick question though, because you just brought up like '90s like super action people. Do you know who Steven Seagal is?
I've heard of him.
Okay.
I would probably recognize him.
Next week, Under Siege.
I just that's
Man,
the first name I thought of though. When
that
you
guy,
brought that name up earlier.
What a lunatic! You know he had his own energy drink.
Actually, I think I do recognize him.
What was that, Nathaniel?
You know he had his own energy drink.
Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
Really?
You got to look up the commercial for the Steven Seagal energy drink. It is next level weird.
Yeah. They say that guy was like just a jackass, dude.
Oh, he's a horrible person. Has to be.
Yeah.
He's like really good friends with Russia, like the country of Russia.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so real quick then, I mean on the what we're watching on my end, didn't watch too much. Kind of been watching some of the Boondocks. That's kind of like my late night show going to sleep.
Nice.
2 movies I got to though. Yeah, that show's hilarious. We've
So
already kinda
good.
talked about that a ton. I end up watching The New Mutants on HBO Max.
I've seen 75% of it. Should I finish it off, or is that
No.
good?
Don't even waste your time, man. That movie is you can see why that was delayed for an extended amount of time and just kind of pushed around. And I think that one that might have been something with Fox first.
It was.
And then that movie's just a mess, man. I mean, nobody can really save it.
It just
It's
doesn't
got
ever really work,
Anya
does it?
Taylor-Joy in it. Yeah, and she does as best as she can, but the script's just bad. The dialogue's bad. It's just a bad movie all around.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So then another thing I got to, I end up watching The Ruins. I don't know if Tyler or Adam know what that is, but that's a horror movie.
I do remember
from about
Ruins.
the 2000s, I want to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's gotta be like 05, 06, 07, somewhere in there.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty good though. It's about some vacationers, and then they kind of go in and they're on a Mayan temple, or is it Aztec?
Yeah.
This is saying
Might be
I'm
mine.
looking at
The Ruins from 2008.
Yeah.
Yep, that sounds right. Yep. But yeah, man, that's pretty good. I end up watching that, and that's one of those sleeper ones. I've always enjoyed it. Originally when it came out, but then just kind of rewatched it as an adult, just kind of on some fun time.
Yeah.
It still holds up well, man. Yeah, it's good.
I like The Ruins.
Good tension, good plot. Yeah, the characters, they seem sold and invested. You can tell there's genuine like friendships. So yeah, man, it's good. I watched that. I would recommend that to you guys. I think that's on Amazon Prime. I believe New Mutants was HBO Max.
Mm.
And yeah, that's really all I got to. Then obviously Dr. Sleep.
Speaking of
Interesting.
Dr. Sleep, I think that's our main review for the episode.
Oh, wouldn't you know?
Wouldn't
don't
you
say.
know? What a coincidence. Welcome, listeners,
First
to the
Mike
main
Flanagan
review.
movie on here, man. That's
Ah,
surprising.
yeah. Well, we
Actually,
were looking
really
at his movie.
surprising.
I was looking at his movies. He doesn't have. He has some, obviously, but I
He's
think one of
got
his main
he's
things
got a
is
lot that
his
like
TV shows.
hardcore horror guys are just like, yes, yes,
Sure.
yes,
He's
yes.
got-
Like,
Right.
Yeah, Oculus, Hush,
Yep.
Ouija, Origin of Evil, a classic, of course.
Yep.
that one's actually good. Like that the second Ouija is the good Ouija. There is a good Ouija, and it's that one. And it's the same
First
thing
one's
with
really bad.
Annabelle Creation. The second one's really good. The first one's not good.
Yeah. You're right. I'm following you. Creation's the second one, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like Annabelle Creation, comma, the second Annabelle movie is
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love Mike Flanagan. Adam, you want to talk to us a little bit about what we do, or I'll talk a little bit of what we do during the review segment. For the last couple weeks, I got that right for 45 episodes, and then now like the last 3 weeks, I keep switching it for some reason. Whatever.
Oh, you're good.
So hi, listeners. Hello. If you're new or
Hola.
if you're returning, I went to say hello in another language, and I couldn't go for it. My brain went blank.
I got you.
But here's on Back Row Banter, basically how we do our review segments is it is split into two segments. So the first half is basically us introducing the movie, going over the IMDb summary, talk about who's in it, kind of the basics, plot summary to it. And we'll go around and talk with each one of us, give our initial thoughts. We have to decide at the end of it, yes or no, do we recommend this movie? And then you guys will find out what our recommendations are. And if anyone wants to not have the rest of the plot spoiled for them, or if they haven't gotten a chance to see it yet, you can come back a little bit later. We'll give you the time code and timestamps, and make sure you know when to come back on there. For anyone who is staying with us through the spoiler section, the way that works is we basically just talk about what the rest of the movie plot is, and then go into any kind of deeper thoughts that wouldn't be able to talk about during the non-spoiler section. But then at the end of it, we'll get everyone together, both of those that didn't want to be spoiled and those that didn't care about the spoiling, and we'll find out where this movie ranks on our Entropy list, which is our big old list of everything we've watched for the pod.
Big old list.
Ranked.
Fantastic.
Adam, tell us about this movie.
Yeah. This is Dr. Sleep, 2019. About a 2.5 hour runtime, not so brisk. But it didn't feel that bad, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your
I remember-
sequel to The Shining, you got to be, above 2
Yeah.
above 2 hours at that point, right?
Sure, yeah. Directed by Mike Flanagan, also written by Mike Flanagan, based on the Stephen King novel. This is, of course, a sequel to The Shining. This stars Ewan McGregor as Dan Torrance, so an adult version of Danny. I guess they called him Danny in The Shining.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the lead, and you have Rebecca Ferguson. Kylie Curran plays Aberstone. And then a few... actually, there's not many other, well-known actors, I would say, in here.
I love this cast. I'm going to come out and say it right away. There are a lot of well-known character actors and B-movie
Sure.
heroes that you got in here, like Carl Strucken, who plays the Grandpa Flick. He's most people know him as the really tall guy in Men in Black, but he shows up in other things every now and then. Robert Longstreet. If you know Mike Flanagan, he works with a lot of these actors in multiple things. So like Robert Longstreet, you'll see in Haunting of Hill House.
Cliff Curtis.
Cliff Curtis is incredible. I love him. He needs to be in more things.
Agreed.
Carl Lumley, Henry Thomas, who most of us know as also in Haunting of Hill House, but also as the kid in E.T. Bruce Greenwood. And then special shout out to Alex Esso, who was in Haunting of Bly Manor, but also plays Wendy Torrance, who I think does a pretty good Shelley Duvall impersonation.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the better ones.
Yeah. But sorry, Adam, I just the cast for this is one of those things that is actually a big deal for me. I really like it in this movie.
That's totally fine. Maybe I should just correct myself. Maybe not a lot of cast members I recognize.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Nathaniel would probably know. Most definitely knows more than me about that kind of stuff. But yeah, the synopsis reads as follows. Years following the events of The Shining, a now adult Dan Torrance must protect a young girl with similar powers from a cult known as the True Knot, who prey on children with powers to remain immortal.
Okay.
I like it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not too far off. One correction I think they need to make is immortal. I think it is established in the movie.
To not be true.
They're not immortal.
Yeah, I believe.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Minor spoiler.
We'll tag that later.
Bit of sizzle.
Yeah. Bit of sizzle. Yeah, let's get to our non-spoiler thoughts. This was my first viewing. Was this anybody else's first viewing?
Mine.
Yours too, Ty?
Yes.
Ty, why don't you take it off with your thoughts here?
I was pretty impressed. It's definitely not a Shining. It's really hard to come up with something like The Shining. But
Right.
as a sequel, I mean, this is still pretty good. I did not expect this to be this side of
Completely different story, right?
yeah, and it almost makes you rethink what The Shining is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it definitely it begs a lot of questions, and I like its answers.
Mhm.
And I was pretty much in when we started it, and kind of had me sucked in the whole time. There was a couple times where I kind of caught myself sitting up a little bit, and I was like, "Well, what's this about?"
What's going on here, boys?
And it's really cool. You get some really cool Easter eggs in there. They give you a lot of throwbacks to the first ones. First one. I don't know. That's plural. The music again. As soon as you hear the wah, 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 I was like, something just like clicked in my head, and I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I at least got to give this a fair shot, and it does what I want it to do. And again, the only part that I got a couple of guffs which I can get into, but overall, yeah, I recommend. This is great.
Adam, as the other newbie.
I liked it. This is definitely not the direction or type of movie I thought would follow a movie like The Shining. They definitely take it a bit of a different direction, which I've come to kind of terms with. When I midway through this movie, I was like, man, this kind of sucks. Like, when you watch The Shining, like it's so tense. The horror, the all that suspense,
and dread.
Yeah, exactly. And this is
Well, you're
not
confined
that,
to one place too. You never leave the Overlook, basically. Besides when you go with like Halloran or something.
Yeah, for sure. That too. This is just not that. And I think once I accepted that, I liked it a little bit more. But I was just really hoping I could get more of that, and I didn't. But that is what it is. It is based upon the Stephen King novel, so I have solace in knowing that this is Stephen King's sequel. This is not somebody else's like sequel to what they think would happen after The Shining. That being said, although they don't take after The Shining as much as I wanted them to, I do think this is a cool concept to play with. The idea of what The Shining looks like when you take a look outside of just what happened in that hotel, what happened with Danny. This is like the Shining is a realized thing in the world, and then we're kind of seeing what that looks like. And obviously, it's like some people taking advantage of it, just as you might expect.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. The music. I do like going back to that tone again. That hearing that again was really, really cool. But I was honestly a little underwhelmed at points by the music. I felt like it was not, again, maybe this is just hard because I'm trying to compare it to The Shining, and it's not, because it's hard to compete with the score of The Shining. But there's also moments where they felt like where Flanagan was trying to do the same thing that The Shining does with its musical sound effects, where it just shrieks at the same time that there are quick actions on screen and stuff like that. But one of those moments that does that is not worthy of that. And then it kind of felt like he was just mimicking it for the sake of mimicking it, and just wasn't used effectively, and I wish it was. And I can maybe go into that a little bit more in the spoilers. I don't want to say too much, and since we're only in non-spoilers. But in general, yeah, I do like this. I think Ewan McGregor is really good. It's an interesting concept to see how this plays out after the events of The Shining. So if you're at all interested in that, which I think you should be after watching The Shining, I think it's definitely worth a watch. I would recommend it.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'll follow up. I originally saw this movie in theaters. Maybe not release day, but release weekend. and then I've been able to see it at home a few times. I mentioned I watched it last week as well as I kind of put it on this week just to refresh myself. But yeah, I genuinely like this. I remember this is one I'm speaking to Nathaniel about at the store um, before its release, and I was just kind of figure out like, hey, what is this about? Because I didn't read the book, and I
Mm.
wasn't really sure based off the trailer kind of what's going on here. It looks like they're kind of hunting this little girl or something of that nature, and he was able to give some insight. But yeah, I just remember walking out of the theater and I was pleasantly surprised. But again, knowing Mike Flanagan and knowing his body of work, you're almost not that surprised.
Sure.
You're like, if anybody can take on a task of making a sequel to The Shining, I think he's capable of doing it. Obviously, that's a ginormous task, right? And
Right.
it's probably not going to be as good as the first one. But I mean, I think he does a damn good job, and I think this is a really good movie.
Yeah, I really like this movie.
I'm with you. Yeah.
We've done a whole episode on The Shining. It's number 1 on our list. Spoilers. But
bit of sizzle.
yeah, bit of sizzle. I've read the book. Highly recommend reading the book. I think this movie actually works almost as a better sequel to the book. To the book The Shining, and I think the book Doctor Sleep almost works as a better sequel to the movie The Shining, in my opinion.
Interesting.
So it's flipped around.
Yeah, and there's if you know your history on The Shining, you know Stephen King remade the original Shining film into a miniseries in the late 90s or maybe early thousands. And because he so hated Kubrick's version of it. The Shining is a very personal story to Stephen King in particular because it deals so heavily with addiction. And it was also about kind of his time when he was sobering up and everything that kind of went on with that. And so Kubrick removed not a lot of those elements, but a lot of the emotional warmth out of the Jack Torrance character once he kind of goes into The Shining. And in the climax of The Shining, the film, the 1980 The Shining is much different than the book as well. So when Stephen King, he hated that version of it. He kind of always hated that version of it. Was very vocally against it. And I think it's always kind of been a little bit of a thorn in his side that the movie is so well regarded. But anyways, he remakes it in the late 90s and does kind of his version of it. And now with the Dr. Sleep book that comes out in like 2016 or so, he's the one that, this is, like Adam said, it is his vision, it is the kind of his setup from it. And I find it so interesting that he decided to take all of these elements out of The Shining and then just tell a completely different story from it. A completely different genre, completely different kind of tone to the story, but still a continuation of the Danny character and like what that means as that character grows up and, dealing with the consequences of The Shining. Yeah, I really enjoy the book. I think I like the book better than the movie. I do encourage I encourage people to go and read both the book, both of The Shining and Doctor Sleep. But yeah, I really enjoy this movie for the most part. There are certain things on there where I feel like my kind of nostalgia, love of The Shining brain gets in the way rather than my film critic brain. But I don't care.
Right.
And so this
Part
is
of the territory.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that I just don't care. I think all the performances are great. I think Mike Flanagan does a really good job directing this and taking it in a direction away from kind of the Kubrick version and making it his own thing. I can understand the temptation and I can see it in some ways for him to just like, oh man, I want to ape Kubrick here, or I want to do the Kubrick version of it, but he does a really good job of making a Mike Flanagan movie rather than, a Stanley Kubrick homage, in my opinion. I think all the villains are really interesting in this. I think they do a good job of bringing the danger, particularly to a child, and like kind of you get that sense on there. I think all of the kids, the interactions with the True Knot before you kind of get to the main plot meat of the story are all really effective. Yeah, I just think a really good movie, worth your time to check it out. If we've made this sound appealing to you?
I'm with you, man. Let's
I think that's a recommend all
seems
around.
like we're four recommends.
Three big recommends and a some with some niggles too, or some issues.
Very
Sure.
slight issues, but
Okay.
overall, yes, I recommend.
Okay.
When it comes down to the binary, yes or no, it's a yes. So,
Right. No
that's all that
nuance on the
matters here.
internet, as Nathaniel would say.
There is no nuance on the internet. All right. So spoiler
Great,
sound
let's jump into it.
now.
Oh wait.
Well, okay. So
Whoa. Wait.
What is
I'll cue you
happening?
in, Nathaniel.
all right, cue me in, man.
Just like earlier. If you guys don't want Dr. Sleep spoiled for you, go ahead, check the episode description for a timestamp to skip over spoilers, and you'll be taken to the ranking up upon the entropy list.
Hop up on.
Spoilers. That's your cue, Nathaniel.
Boom.
Shit goes down.
Shit goes down.
Shit goes down.
Yeah. So, I mean, eventually you find out, right, that the True Knot are some sort of, they're not immortal, right, to Adam's point.
They're not
They're
immortal.
like essence
very close to
vampires.
it. They've been around for a very, very long time.
Yes.
And they live off killing children who have the shine and eating their steam, which is basically their power. And the scene where you finally see them kill a child is so terrifying.
Mhm.
With the baseball boy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I just remember watching that in theaters, and like you're kind of watching, you're like, okay, well, like I think I have an idea of what they do to people, right? And you don't really know, and then you finally see them kind of pick the kid up, and you're like, okay, well, like I wonder if they're gonna kill him. Then he even reiterates, like, are you gonna kill me? And they're like, well, yeah, we are gonna kill you. And that's when after that, I loved the movie after that. That was once that happened, I was like, I'm fucking sold on this film, dude.
Yeah, they're brutal. They're very
Yeah.
they're very aggressive in that situation.
It's pretty cool to kind of see that progression of like them, because you don't think the movie's really going to go there. Obviously, you know that they killed them in some kind of way.
Sure.
But you more or
Right.
less think
Yeah,
it's like they do the steam. I immediately thought of
Monsters Inc.
No. That's a good point too, though. Hocus Pocus.
Ah, sure.
And yeah, because like
I
magic and
immediately-
everything. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ty.
No, you're good.
We love Discord. I immediately thought of COVID, and I was like, wow, this is a
Ah, sure.
different movie in 2021.
Sure, of course.
Not sanitary at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, dude, it's good, man. And then they
Adam-
mentioned kind of go
Oh,
ahead, bro.
No, go ahead. You started that already. It was the Discord got me
I-
again. Go on.
That might, to be
Brutal
honest,
today.
that might have made me lose my train of
Oh
thought. So you might
no.
have to and jump in.
This is
You
rough.
love to
we
see it,
are in
folks.
shambles
Can't
over
wait-
here.
I can't wait till we're back in person.
Yeah, I know. What I was gonna say was, Adam, what was that moment that you thought didn't deserve the sting, the musical sting? I'm trying to remember.
When they were digging up the dead kid's body, there was a lot of like shrieks and stuff, and I get the importance of that moment or what the gravity of them wanted to, but like in The Shining, those shrieking violins were mainly used towards the end, at least when as I remember, they were used
Sure.
more towards the end with the axe when Jack Nicholson is attacking them and that kind of stuff,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
he's while they're using a shovel just to dig up the kid's grave. Like I get the he wanted that scene to be important like that, but the shock factor that comes with playing shrieking violins with an axe like that, I already have that associated with that, and then coming into this movie, and he's doing this, he does it a few times, I think, and it just doesn't hit the right way. It just felt like the sound kind of went a little flat because I can see what he was going for, but it just didn't line up for me.
Yeah, and I remember in the theater seeing this and thinking that there were more jump scares than Flanagan typically puts in his work, which I thought was interesting, because what I find what Flanagan does that I think really affects the horror for me is he'll do a lot where he'll hold shots for like 1 or 2 seconds just to allow the really creepy thing that's in the room or like that he's focusing on more kind of space in the scene. Or like he'll do kind of it's not a jump scare where like something jumps out at someone. It's just all of a sudden present. And that's like a very different kind of horror. And like, he's just got a really good eye, I think, for what makes things scary. But I also remember kind of feeling similar to you, Adam, in the first time I watched it, where I was like, some of those don't feel right. And then, interestingly, I didn't have that reaction this time. And this is only the second time I've seen it since the first time I saw it. However, I did feel like when we were watching it this time that there were moments where I was like, I wish this had a better score. So I think it's really interesting that you brought that up a little bit earlier too. And I think it's just a few moments where like Flanagan chooses to keep it quiet, and it feels like there should be some sort of like a little something playing underneath or something like that. But again, those are the small stuff in my opinion for the most part. For me, anyways, it definitely didn't take me out of the movie. Damn, Cliff Curtis is good in this. Like as Billy, like he's just so genuine and like that guy's a good actor, man.
I'm a big fan.
He's really, really good. Ewan
McGregor.
McGregor.
I know him from.
What else has he
Looking at his
been?
IMDb now.
Yeah. What else has he been in that?
He's gonna be in all of the Avatar sequels.
Good, as he should be.
He's in Hobbs and Shaw, The Meg. He's in Fear the Walking Dead.
Fear the Walking Dead is where I saw him a lot. Where I saw him kind of like start getting more stuff.
I think so as well.
I'm looking on here. It looks like he is Fire Lord Ozai in The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, the
live action
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that is Maori, and he came up during Sunshine. I always remember him from Sunshine. He came up during Hollywood, where if you were like just any kind of brown man, you got to play any kind of brown man. So like he's been right. Like everything that you could possibly be, and he finally seems to be kind of getting more roles where they're just kind of letting him do his thing and prove. And he's really, really good in my opinion. Ewan McGregor, I think, is also incredible in this.
I think he's really, really good.
What I thought was
Star Wars guy. Now that I'm aware, I know him as the Dr. Sleep guy.
Blake might be the only person on Earth that recognizes Ewan McGregor from Dr. Sleep, not Star Wars. Ewan McGregor from Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, I loved him in Trainspotting.
Rebecca Ferguson is awesome.
Yeah, she's really great in this.
She's awesome. I love just the character Rose the Hat. And even in the opening scene, you can see because she seems like such a sweet and nice person, and you can kind of pick that up from the opening scene. And even then, you just kind of see that Mike Flanagan is not against the killing children. And that little girl is actually the same girl who plays
from Haunting in Hill House,
Hill House, but you can just kind of see her interaction with her, right? She's kind of like, it's like the girl's kind of like beware of stranger danger, right? That's kind of like the one you had.
I like that the kids are smart in this.
Yeah. And then you can just see how instantly it turns when Rose the Hat realizes that she does have shine, and she tells her to guess the color of the flower. Yeah, and then she guesses it, and she like instantly like smiles, like it almost like it arouses her. You know what I mean? Like it's so creepy. Yeah, dude, I think she did awesome in that. That's a great villain.
Yeah, I thought I love just that weird take that they end up going with on The Shining, that it is this kind of thing that you always have. And like I love the idea that they kind of touch on it, I think, in the first one, but like a little bit more on this. They get into the most people have The Shining. Some people just have a little bit more than other people, and those are the people that always remember to bring home flowers or to take off a day of work when they need to or something like that, or
score well on a test they didn't study for.
Right, yeah. Or, Billy. It's kind of alluded to that Billy kind of understands and trusts Ewan because he can kind of feel that feeling about people, and I really like the kind of world building that they do on that in this area. And again, it's so interesting to me that they the continuation of the story goes in this manner. Overall,
I know it is. That was something I was thinking of while I was watching it as well, because I was kind of thinking about this in relation to it and it chapter 2, and this definitely feels like a similar kind of grandiose scale like that had, which is just such stark contrast to The Shining, which is very small scale.
Well,
Obviously, you only have the one hotel, and small cast and stuff.
yeah, and I mean it is so it in the movies is always told kind of like first half, second half.
The movie It, right?
Yeah.
Not referencing. Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, if that wasn't clear.
Yeah, the book is much more entwined, where you go from like past to present simultaneously throughout, and obviously like it is all one book too. So there's like where The Shining is, where Dr. Sleep is direct sequel to it, or to the Shining. It chapter 2 is not separate from it in its book form.
I'm sorry, I wasn't talking about it in relation to the like a sequel. I was talking about more of the type of story that it is. As far as,
right. It's a much larger story.
Yeah, a little bit larger story, a little bit larger cast of characters.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about it as in relation to a sequel.
All right, well then we'll just cut all of that.
No worries. But yeah, dude, I like that, dude. Do any of you guys have any favorite scenes? I know we kind of get in there and discuss that.
Yeah, one I brought up before we started recording was that scene where he takes the money from the single mother who has the toddler. That's a heartbreaking scene, and to set up a character like that. But I do like that because it shows you pretty quickly. I mean, from the first, I think, is that the first time we see Danny grown up?
Pretty much, yeah.
Close to it,
or very early on. But it does give you a sense of where this character is at. In what's happened to him since the events of the first one. But regardless, I mean, that was a hard thing to watch for me personally. I don't know. I just had so much empathy for that scene. But that's very effective at creating a good character. And then I think it was Ty who mentioned, where that arc goes and how you see that kind of finish out towards the end, where he's now helping the young girl. So that was probably not. It's hard to say that's my favorite scene, but that was very effective for me.
Sure.
Yeah, his life is in shambles.
Man, it's it's for me kind of the most effective depiction of addiction since like the other one we did on the podcast, Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah,
sure.
I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah.
Just like that rock bottom, worst place on the planet.
Yeah, man. And he wakes up and he sees the bottle in his hand and he just goes for a drink.
Yeah,
like doesn't even think about it. I could not imagine.
No, but sets up a great character.
Yeah, his whole thing just plays out really well. It's all really well acted, incredibly well written. Just get fucking Jack Nicholson.
So yeah, is this your big thing? Is the Jack Torrance character that shows up in the hotel?
Yep. Yeah, like either that or play the whole side view, but at least throw some more CGI in there to make him actually look like him. Clean up the bottom of his neck a little bit. Yeah. Just even at a profile, you could tell that it just wasn't him.
I guess it didn't bother me as much because they had also recast everyone else, and because
but I feel like they did such a good job on the other two.
Yeah, I think maybe too.
Well, the other three or so, but
I think for me too, the other thing is because I have read the book and I have of both of them too. It's that extra level of separation. That there's just kind of like different, almost like different actors playing different roles.
Sure,
as silly as that is, like on a play or something. But I understand what you're saying, particularly with that one.
Yeah, I think that's my only gripe because I mean he's such a such a big piece of the first one,
right?
And it's so iconic that like I maybe just go for the Carrie Fisher, Paul Walker CGI move.
Yeah,
and give me something.
You could have Irishmaned it where you get Jack Nicholson and then you de-age him like they did De Niro.
Yeah. I don't think they had the budget for that.
I'm sure they didn't.
That's the point I was gonna make. Is I think the budget, you don't have the money to hire Jack Nicholson and then also CGI him down. That could have been a little bit tough on the budget, maybe.
Yeah.
I think for me, I don't have as big an issue of it, like I said, because I feel like I have all those other things into The Shining.
That's true.
But I understand what you're saying with that in particular. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I think there needed to be one less like Shining reference at the end there,
Sure.
where he kind of
I was
goes
gonna
room
say-
to room. That's the only bit where I'm like, man, this movie, like, because they set up the big emotional climax with him going into the hotel,
Yeah.
and then it just drags for like about a minute too long there for me. But I really like the conversation that is had between him and the Jack character, because I think that scene in The Shining where Jack first sits and talks to Lloyd might be my favorite scene in The Shining, or might have become
One
my
of
favorite
mine
scene.
too.
I think it's just incredible, and Kubrick shoots it so well. I was happy to kind of see that on there and have that
100%.
play for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I overall I think, like, again, those characters from The Shining that do reappear here, I like who they cast for the most part. Carl Lumley's a dead ringer for Scatman Crothers.
Yeah, 100%.
Think he's great.
I mean, it was so close that I was like, I mean, I haven't seen The Shining in a while, so
Right.
but I was like, did they CGI?
Yeah, is that guy still alive?
yeah, I was like, what's going on here? But eventually, I kind of realized, like, all right, they definitely just replaced the actor.
Yeah, and I really like this movie's kind of like role for Danny that he finds himself. I always found that really interesting, that's where he becomes this orderly who basically just helps people pass on. And I think that's a really kind of fascinating and
Dr. Slate.
noble cause.
Yeah, it's cool. I think my favorite Easter egg was when he's sitting in the guy's office and it's clearly
just
the same office.
I noticed that this time too. For some reason I didn't notice that the first time, but when he's talking to the doctor,
obviously the desk and stuff is a little bit you know in a different position.
It's when he's sitting there that you notice it most.
But he's obviously got a ton of shit on the walls. It's the same exact color.
Yeah,
it's basically the same shape.
Yeah.
It almost looks like there's snow on the window above, so like it looks identical for the most part.
Yeah, there's a lot of visual references.
Yeah, and I was very happy to see that, because that immediately was like, hey, that's pretty cool.
Well, it ties in thematically too, because it's still showing that, you know, Danny is haunted in his life by the Shining more than he thinks, or more that he thinks he has a control of, similar to kind of his own addiction and everything too. Yeah, man, I think it's. We were watching it last night, and I've seen this movie once before, but I just was watching it again. I was like, man, I really enjoy this movie.
I'm with you, dude.
The areas where it falls down, it makes up in other areas by like featuring like personal favorites of mine, like Cliff Curtis or something like that. So it's a big old.
I totally forgot we had to watch this. I was just like, nah, I don't know why I was just not in the headspace.
Yeah.
Because we watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then you like got up to put the something in the Xbox. I was like, look at this motherfucker. I was like, you didn't even ask
on this guy
what I want to fucking watch. And then I forgot, and it like came up, and I was like, fuck.
What do you think of Abra?
I think she's really well casted. She's really well played. I really like her character. She's written really well. I like the fact that she's got like a little bit of a kick-ass attitude to her, even at that age.
Big role for a girl of that age
and it really shows you like
baby lines.
And it shows you like how quickly kids can learn, and she's kind of she's finding her own place in the world, and she's kind of doing all this stuff on her own, and it's really, really cool. Is that supposed to be her real mom? Because she seems to have a better relationship with her dad. I almost feel like there's like a stepmom situation in there.
In the book, Abra's not biracial, or she is, but she's not. Her dad isn't black. And in the book, there's much more of a lineup with her mom and then her grandma, who she references. She says like my great Momo is there, and it's actually Abra's great grandmother. It's her mom Lupita's grandmother, or great aunt, or something like that.
Right, but
it actually ties in a little bit more. Do you guys want to know kind of how the book ties things up a little bit differently?
Yeah, that's fine.
Adam, are you going to read?
No, yeah.
Okay.
I might get around to eventually, but not anytime soon.
All right, quadruple spoilers for anyone who is listening, and
we're going deeper into the bunny hole here.
Please do read the book because it's excellent. But in the book, it is revealed that Danny actually is Abra's uncle. that Jack had an affair with Lupita's mother while he was still a college teacher, just before, at the last job he has before he leaves to go to the caretaker, when he was a professor in college, and she was in there. So that mom dies prior to the book happening, and then the Lupita, who is Abra's mother, is raised by her and her grandmother. And then spoilers for The Shining as well, but in the novel The Shining, Jack doesn't kill Scatman Crothers, so he actually does come back as a character on there. But in The Shining, the hotel blows up. It blows up in the way that it blows up in this movie, in that Jack forgets to check the boilers and it burns down.
Got it.
So the climax of Dr. Sleep doesn't happen at the hotel. It happens on the mountain where the hotel is.
Got it.
But that's a lot less visually interesting. And like, we have that on there. So the climax on The Shining or Dr. Sleep is Billy doesn't die, which I also enjoy. Billy's also a much older man in Dr. Sleep in the book, but whatever. And it turns out that Danny is able to take the like steam from the great grandma Momo, who is dying, but she's dying of cancer. So he like holds that in with him and then goes to the overlook where Rose the Hat and everyone is,
like gives them all cancer.
Well, tricks them into feeding off of him for a little bit, and then feeding onto it, that like kills like the rest of them. And then Rose, I believe she and Abra have like a final confrontational battle. I can't remember exactly how they beat her at the end of it, but Danny doesn't die and actually does become like Abra's aunt, and it's tied up in a kind of a sweeter way in that area. But and which I kind of prefer. But yeah. It's really interesting.
My buddy was also telling me that in the book, the True Knots are much more focused on like actual psychic abilities that are like not researched but like written about. So one of them has like telepathy skills.
Yeah, there's a lot more variety. You get a lot more interior into the True Knot and kind of how they work around it and what their kind of stuff is. They're all kind of depicted as like a lot older and like a little bit more a little bit more easy to hide and that kind of thing. Not so much these ones. They're almost like hippie yoga guys. In the book, they're a lot more like your weird caravanning grandparents down or something. Mm-hmm. But holy crap! I just looked at the time. We've been going for a while. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're more focused on like the different psychic abilities, and they're much more like vampiric. Like they go through a transformation when they're feeding on people, where they like all their teeth like combine into a big tusk, and like there's this crazy stuff going on with it too. But yeah, highly recommend. For me, big fan. Stephen King's awesome. Stanley Kubrick's awesome. Mike Flanagan's awesome. So,
what more is there to be said than that right there?
Yeah.
That's all you can ask for in a horror movie.
All right. Well, let's head on out of spoilers here. Welcome back to any listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment. We're going to go ahead and throw Dr. Sleep up upon the Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of every movie we had reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. If you'd like to view the list for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description, where it is linked to my Letterboxd, where the list is held. Gentlemen. The Shining currently stands at number one upon our Entropy list. Holds a spot that is, at this point, since October. That's quite a few
unassailable, huh?
Really, when we did that?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I think we did that. Didn't we do that for Halloween?
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Because we did horror all the month of October.
Yep.
Man, where is the sequel landing?
I think I got my spot.
Let her rip,
Nathaniel.
I got this at 18.
18. So that is coming in below Kill Bill Volume 1 and above Paid in Full.
Below Boys in the Hood, above Kill Bill Volume 2.
I'm sorry. Okay.
It's a lot lower than I thought you were going to have it.
Yeah, I like this movie a lot, and I really like this movie, but it is not as high as some of these ones in here for like the I mean, again,
Yeah.
we've said it a million times, but like the top 12
Loaded.
on these are bulletproof. You know,
Loaded.
like, and it just gets harder from there. But
and we've recently filled out the bottom of this a little bit.
right. So I'm thinking this one's gonna. I'm thinking this is gonna kind of like be another one of those ones where it starts to split a little bit, because after 17 is when I feel like the break is a little bit right
Sure.
now, and so I think 18 for this guy is right where that will be for me.
Okay. Ty?
Pass. I
Blake?
genuinely don't know yet.
Okay.
Yeah, looking here, just kind of walking through my thoughts out loud. I'm gonna put it above The Descent. I'm gonna put it above Insidious. I'm gonna put it above The Strangers. I'm gonna put it above Halloween 2018. I can't put it above Green Room. So that kind of puts me in a limbo from 13 to 22. Then looking here, sorting some things out. I think I'm gonna go. I think I would put it at 20.
20.
Okay.
So 20 would be right below Paid in Full and above District 9.
Yep.
Okay. Ty, you want me to go, or are you still are you good to go?
Is this the Frozens that are bothering you?
No. It's me not overly caring for E2 Mama Tambien and Requiem,
Okay.
but loving Kill Bill and like Boys of the Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at some point there's going to be a movie that needs to go in like the green room section, and
You're saving it.
Well, yeah, and like I just have to like
Yeah.
Green Room.
I'm okay with 18.
You're okay with 18?
Yeah, I'm cool with
Okay.
18.
which
So
just below
we're
Boys in the
Nathaniel.
Hood, but and above Kill Bill Volume 2.
Yeah.
So where Nathaniel had it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'd watch this before I'd watch Kill Bill Volume 2 for sure.
Okay. This is a toughie because I'm looking at it. I kind of want to I'm looking at Soul here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really like Soul.
Mm-hmm.
But also like I don't think this is better than District 9.
Okay.
Or I mean, this might be better than District 9.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I said that backwards. So it's kind of tough here. Obviously, personal rankings are going to be different than the overall entry list. If
Yeah, I got my
had to
like
give
blood,
it a
sweat, and
number, though-
tears in this list.
This is a really tough one. I'll probably have to say I'll do 19.
Okay. So
I like this
below
better than
Kill
Paid in
Bill
Full.
Volume 2
Yeah.
and above Paid in Full.
Kill Bill Volume 2 is so good. It is so
True.
so good. And I like this a lot, but I just don't think this is
So we had
nearly
two
as good as
18s,
Kill Bill.
119,
For
and a
sure.
20.
Yeah. So I mean, Adam's middle ground, right? I mean, is that the easiest way you guys want to sort this out? Because he's between us. I guess you guys have the leverage with two people there.
Yeah, I'm okay if we tie break it with
Tie break it.
Paid in Full maybe.
Well,
No, I think I'm okay if we want to
Really
switch it to
good.
to just do Dr. Sleep straight 19.
That's fine.
Yeah, that would honestly split the difference between us.
I won't
mean,
argue.
if we got to push it to, where you guys had it above Kill Bill Volume 2. I mean, I'm cool with that too, to be honest. Should we just look at IMDb and
I mean,
confirm?
Kill Bill
Yeah.
is probably going to win that. The IMDb on
IMDb on Dr. Sleep on their users is 7.3. User.
That's actually a pretty good score.
Kill Bill is 8.0.
And Paid in Full is
Yeah.
7.1. So we'll just throw it right at 19.
19.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Slide it in.
I think at one point, fellas, I mean, I think to Nathaniel's point, the top 12 is difficult. Eventually, as Tyler's saying, I'm going to start throwing some shit before Requiem.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I always understand
Itu
Itumama's gonna is like the first one to just like be attacked in there too. So like
yeah. I think those two.
I don't like the word attacked, but it's not.
Around.
It's just not there for me.
that's cool.
Yeah.
It is cool.
Maybe
tough thing
like
about that-
episode 51 we'll do our personal lists, and then like
Yeah.
episode 52 we have to like re-battle out the entropy list.
Maybe that's the intoxicated episode that we do, Tyler, is we battle out the entry list and give our personal lists.
Should we
Wow,
have to be in person?
The only
Be
thing
I mean,
summer.
we'll do it over. We can do it over the summer.
Yeah, the only thing that's tough about that is because once you start putting stuff above YouTube Mama and Requiem, you have to put it above Kill Bill, which is really difficult.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's stupid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Right. So it's fucking tough, man.
beauty and chaos and struggles.
Let's
Oh my
sweat and tears,
gosh,
man.
let's get out of here.
All right. Yeah, we are running
PM.
very long on time. All right. Join us next week for Mortal Kombat. View that on HBO Max starting this Friday or in theaters. Nathaniel, I don't know about a 5-star review. Regardless if we have one or not, we will save it for next week due to time.
Yeah, I'm cool with
Sounds
that.
great. But if you want to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and do so and get whatever you say right on the pod, regardless of what it is, 5 stars. And share the podcast. Share it with a friend, family member. Maybe you're out there in the astral projections doing your shining thing, and you want to let somebody know about Back Row Banter.
Yeah, just give them a push. You
Yeah.
will listen to Back Row Banter.
Maybe trap them in your mind and then play Back Row Banter on repeat.
I mean, that seems mean, but you could if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I guess.
If you're a
I won't be
certain type
mad
of
about it.
evil.
Yeah.
You know,
Where can they follow us
All
though?
right. They can follow us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, where Nathaniel has been doing some interesting stuff there. You know, putting some stuff up.
Trying to.
Yep. YouTube is just Back Row Banter. Please go subscribe to us there. It'd be much appreciated, even if it's not your regular listening station. We'd
Platform.
love the sub. Platform, yeah. And then our email for any questions, comments, concerns, grievances, or anything of the sort is backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
What up? Letterboxd. It should be BlakeHolder. That's me. That is I. I'll be on there. Unfortunately, I don't even think I've logged anything. Actually, I might have, but I'm really bad at that. So that's something I have to get better at. But yeah, that's where you can find me. I'll push it over to We'll Go Nathaniel today.
You can find me on Letterboxd and Twitter at nsgangrick. You can find me on my personal Instagram at NathanielG92. Check out my other podcast if you're into scary stuff or spooky stuff, similar to Shining, Doctor Sleep, somewhere in that that area. Check it out. It's called the Sandpiper Tapes. You can find it wherever good podcasts are sold.
Yep. Grab that.
Yep.
Tyler, you go.
Hey, I'm gonna go real quick.
You go right now, man.
I stream sometimes on Twitch.
2 guys, 1 stream.
That's El Trabajo 87, ELTRABAJO 87.
Some have called Tyler the future face of Twitch.
I've been known to be called that from time to time.
From time to time.
About every Monday or so.
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And then Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter are all Tyler Vidalis, VIDALES. And Nathaniel is still astonished that I have my first and last name
It's true.
as my handles.
You're a lucky man.
I am too, man. It's incredible. I'm so
Yeah,
jealous.
it's tough.
My name's too long. Too many letters.
Interesting.
You can find me on Twitter at H24, on Letterboxd at H, and on Twitch, twitch.tv/H. I think that'll do it for episode 48.
48 in the can.
Doctors. 48 in the can.
48.
I really like the old man in there.
First 48.
Which one?
The
What's
one's
up?
like, he's like, I'm scared it's going to hurt. And he's just like, you don't end.
Oh.
It's okay. I really like that scene too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Anyways, folks, be excellent to each other.
Robin, women,
Thank you all for joining us
comforting old
For-
people.
for episode 48. Dr. Sleep. Join us next week for Mortal Kombat. We'll be RB.
Hey, be excellent to each other, and we'll be RB.
Hope you had a great week. Thanks for coming back. Please feel free to do any kind of sharing of the podcast that you would like to do with whoever you'd like to do it with. We greatly appreciate it. We would love to grow, and we would like to do this more often for you guys. So, yeah, thank you, and yeah, just be good to each other. The world needs it, and we'll BRB.
Yeah. Share the podcast, friends, family, vampires, the true knot, whoever it may be. Share the podcast. We appreciate it. It's the only way to grow. Outside of that, everybody stay safe, stay positive. That's all I've got. We'll be back next week for Mortal Kombat. BRB.
Mortal Kombat!
America. Ready for another lesson.
Have you read The Shining?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you should read The Shining and you should read Dr. Sleep.
Man, I've got a long
you
ass
say
list
those are
of
good,
books
right?
to do.
Nathaniel?
I should-
Yeah.
I should.
I like them both. I think well, I'll talk about it more. The story, the climax of Dr. Sleep is different.
Okay.
And the climax of The Shining is different, actually.
Right.
Has Stephen King? I know Stephen King. It's like notorious that he doesn't, like the movie The Shining compared to his book.
Yeah, I think
Has he
he's
said
kind
anything
of.
about Dr. Sleep?
I think he's kind of mellowed on that a little bit. He got to remake The Shining as a TV series in the 90s as like his version. And I think since then he's kind of like mellowed out on a little bit. But it's interesting. A lot of the themes that are in the book of The Shining end up in Dr. Sleep. So I think maybe that was also a way of like there was like a healing process going on there a little bit too. I don't want to speak for Stephen King, but it might feel that way, or at least like that maybe feels more how like Flanagan was able to be like, here's what I want to do with the movie kind of thing, and got his blessing a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, yeah, let's kick it off, man. Let's get to it.
I'm down. Ty, you ready?
All right.
You're